Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This particular project has multiple phases to it, and on this first phase is going to be the driveway addition. Also, we're doing a walkway across the front. We're going to go around the other side of the house. Right now the access is on the other side of the house where the gate is, but we're going to take this fence down, add a new fence and new gate. Over here we're going to widen the driveway on both sides. And this particular lot is about 6 inches to 8 inches higher than the lot next to it, which means this driveway is higher than the neighbor's concrete. Also, the side yard is higher than the neighbor's. We're going to do a new walkway all the way through here. That coating you see there is called Cool Deck. It's not that widely used anymore, but it was fairly popular in like the 80s. So you can see the redwood dividers in there. That's all typical of the 80s era. This cool decking is holding up really well, though. What we're going to do with those redwood dividers on the patio, we're going to remove all that rotted out wood, and then we're going to fill it with concrete. Over here we're going to do a fire pit pad, a 10-foot diameter, also a walkway coming off of this existing pool deck, going through there with a new gate and fence. First thing I do is I'll start painting out the area where I'm going to be digging. That little electrical you see stubbed up there was a lantern there at one time, but it's been discontinued at the house, so we're just going to tear it out. Now, we're in the city of Corona right now, and this ground is a lot harder than what I'm used to in my particular area close to the coast. This is up in the hills where all the rocks stay and the loose sediment runs down towards the beaches and oceans, and that's what I'm used to dealing with. But this tractor did the trick. I did have to use steel stakes in this. I didn't even bring any woods. I just knew what I was going to run into, so I got all steel stakes for this particular project. There's my cap off of the sprinkler. It did go underneath the driveway to the other side, but we don't need it over there anymore because it's going to be solid concrete both sides of the driveway. From the looks of it, when they actually excavated this lot here to build this entire property, the house and driveway, they didn't do a lot of over excavating because we got down to native pretty quickly. There was probably about 2 inches of topsoil right on top of the boulders, so we just kind of scraped it down until we got our 4 inches. Little by little we got it out. This concrete's coming out, that AC pad's staying. That's just a fiberglass or plastic pad for it to sit on. This walkway is only about 2 feet wide. We're going to be widening it to about 4 feet. We'll leave a little planter along that old wood fence there because that's due to be changed soon from the looks of it, and we're going to leave a little space there so they can remove the old footings and put new ones in, whether it be wood pickets again or block. They're going to need some space to get a footing in. Now my bucket on this tractor is 3 foot wide, so this particular walkway is going to be 3 foot wide, so I'm just going to cut a path. Wherever I cut that path is where the sidewalk's going to go. We just did a little 45-degree angle over here rather than just squaring up the corner, because the house is on a slight angle, the gate's on an angle, so we're going to come through it perpendicular through that that gate that's on an angle there. Now behind the pool we also had another little thing going, and that's going to be the jacuzzi pad. So what I did with my mini tractors, I just brought everything out front, dropped it on the existing driveway, and then I brought the big one in and loaded it all out. Got it all out of here in one load. It was a healthy load, but no problem. Here we are at HD Supply, also known as White Cap, loading up some rebar for the project. And that's number 3, 60 grade. There's a 40 grade, it's not quite as strong. And the 60 is a little harder to cut and it doesn't rust as quickly. Also, we're going to need some more 2x4s because we're forming all the way around the house. So we have, I think we have about 3 or 400 feet here, plus what I had on my truck. Dual forklifts just to get it all in there. I'm just going to hang a flag from this rebar and drive it to the job site. There's those brand new 2x4s, and I didn't really have to pick through them a whole lot. They're a lot straighter than when I get them from Home Depot or Lowe's. You know how you have to go through a pallet. You know, you get probably 80% of a whole bunk is decent. Here's some of that plastic form. And what I did before I set that is I kind of shaped it without, I kind of got the radius, I just bent it by hand and then dropped it in place. Kind of holds its shape. Over here, the side yard where the new gate's going to go here, we're just going to do the jog over right at the gate so it's really not visible. And we're going to do rebar dowels into that existing walkway and driveway. Since we have a lot of angles here, every bar is a different measurement. We're just going to do 3/8 holes, 3/8 rebar, and it's a real nice tight fit. Now you can kind of see how much higher this driveway is compared to the neighbor's side yard there, up near the gate. Because we got probably about a 6-inch step off. But that way we can maintain a level driveway across the frontage of this house. If you were to slope it down, it would look kind of funky. Plus there is the water encroachment issue, draining the water over the neighbors that probably wouldn't like that too much. There's a diagonal bar on that corner. And this particular mix here was actually, I really don't use Robertson's that often, but this was from Robertson's. I was kind of skeptical because I've used them in the past. I was never really happy with their product. I did like their prices, though. I always enjoyed. The product, however, was had something to be desired. In this case, the pumper kind of said, you know what, we got to go with Robertson's on this deal because they're the only ones that got good concrete out here in this part, out here in Corona. So I gave it a shot, because I like to, try different things, of course, from time to time to see what's going on. And I was pleasantly surprised with this. It was a good load. I guess maybe it's because of the dispatch. Maybe the materials are getting out here in Corona are a little different than where I usually get it from at Robertson's previously in my area. So I did like this mix. It finished out beautifully. I also added fiber mesh to it as well when the trucks arrived. These are a couple independents that batched out of Robertson's. We had 2 trucks going into this entire project. There's my Milwaukee 6-foot red stick. Still getting it done after a year or so. And they take a beating, everything does in concrete. There's my brother Doug. He's bowl floating it with a 4-foot magnesium bowl float with a rocker arm on it. This is going to open this driveway up nicely. The typical driveway there was a 16-footer. So you put 2 cars side by side. You're going to be banging your doors against each other quite often. You could even get out of the vehicle, a passenger. Depending on what side of the driveway you're on, you're going to be getting out in the dirt.
Look at that top of that form now. Beautiful.
It's always nice to clean the top of your form before you run that edger. That way you can see where the wood is. That's a 10-inch wide, half-inch radius.
Practiced a lot with this. We got real good with this and the bowl float.
I did notice it's a little hotter inland here in Corona than where I'm typically used to working along the coast. And I kind of knew that going into this pour day. So we started pouring pretty early, 7 a.m. Also, I made sure I brought some concrete curing compound because of the heat difference. That'll help retain the water in the concrete so it doesn't dry out too quickly, because when that happens, you could pull some shrinkage cracks. And if it dries too fast, it doesn't really get as hard as it could have if you used a curing compound on it. On the joint pattern, we just went ahead and jointed off the existing joint off the driveway. We just followed those on through. And this job went 17 yards. Basically, we've got a 10 by 10 jacuzzi pad. We've got a 10-foot diameter fire pit pad. Those are in the backyard. And then we've got your 2 driveway additions. And then we've got a sidewalk on both sides of the house. It's always nicer when you can have access to the backyard from either side of the house. It's always more convenient. So since we have a corner of the house right here sticking out in the concrete. We're going to run a joint off of there. Also, because of my formwork there, it's going to be a double joint, almost like a band. This is the first pass down that side yard. The reason he went down a little early is to get the joints in, the hand joints. And it's kind of crucial that you do joint these out same day, especially when you're over 100 degrees outside. I started a little broom down here at the bottom and it was just too wet, so I re-troweled it out, and then we're going to let it get harder before we put the broom on it. Now we just threw the aluminum 2x4, the straight edge, on that joint just to make sure it stayed nice and straight. Now this looks like your final pass coming down this side. We went a little wider near the side of the house at this end. That's where the trash cans will be going. So you need a little extra space right there, not just a walkway path. Here comes the broom. You can see it moving down that side yard right now. And that happens to be the 50% nylon, 50% horsehair. Now here goes the curing compound. I'm using a Tomahawk Sprayer, 2-stroke. Has about 500 psi, so it hasn't clogged on me yet. It blows everything through it, and it blows it real fine. I mean, you could blow. Here's the curing compound that I'm using.
There you go.
It'll blow top cast through there in a fine cast. Well, you can see how fast this concrete is curing out. This is the day after the pour, and look how white the concrete is. Still a little bit of curing compound on there, you can see. That'll all dissipate. But after we strip the forms, we put some topsoil in there so the grass will grow back in. There's those double joints I was talking about, 2 crack points. Now on that gas meter, that line that drops down there into the concrete, what I did with that is I took an old water bottle, cut the top of it off, split it down the middle, slipped it around the pipe, filled it with some sand, and retaped it so the sand wouldn't fall out. Now I have some space around that gas pipe so that if the concrete shifts or anything happens, an earthquake or whatever, it won't affect that gas line. Had some extra topsoil, so I just threw it, broadcasted in those dead spots there. Maybe it'll come back in the future. Yeah, but it turned out real nice. You can see no puddling. Turned out beautiful. Thank you for watching and have a good day.